is the return of Red vs. Blue Radio with your host and fearless leader, Scott Atkins, at Scott Fantasy on Twitter. Red vs. Blue is a proud partner of the new full-time podcast network, now sponsored by Sports Illustrated. Guests can be part of the live chat we call The Crew, and also join the show by calling 646-668-8147. Red vs. Blue, where sports, fantasy, and life collides. Politically correct? No chance. Fair and balanced? Absolutely. Get ready. Red vs. Blue is back in 3, 2, 1.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Full-Time Fantasy Podcast, Grind Time. I'm your host, Adam Krautwurst, and I'm here with Jack. Just Jack tonight.
Just Jack.
Here.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. In the draft room here, drafting in this Red versus Blue event. I am finally get to draft in one of these live. I've done this format before, but not the Red versus Blue. I'm super excited. How you doing tonight, sir?
Doing well. Drafting out of the 5 myself, and our fearless leader, Scott Atkins, joining us soon. I guess he was getting worked out by the New York Giants as a wide receiver this afternoon.
That's
so.
Right. Or a running back.
Yeah. Either one.
I don't know how much James Robinson's got left, but we'll see if he gets drafted tonight. Maybe Bitplat Mandel out of the 106 will take. We'll take James Robinson. But yeah, Scott's stuck at the fair with the kids and the family. So I would much rather be where we are. So, but he'll be in here soon. And you're on the clock coming up here. Nothing out of the ordinary so far. Let me actually pull up the draft board here. It's hard to do the draft board and draft at the same time because it's the same tab, but. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp, Christian McCaffrey, nothing out of the ordinary here. You're from the 105. I'm from the 108. Tyreek Hill for you out of the 105. What's your is he your wide receiver 4?
He is maybe tied for 3.
Okay,
he's in a toss-up with Cooper Kupp. It's pretty close.
Yes.
And frankly, I'm not particularly worried about him slapping a guy on the back of the head, leading to a suspension. He's done far worse and gotten away with it. And I think the Alvin Kamara stuff showed us that this stuff can take a lot of time before anything happens. So I think the legal uncertainty is just a lot of worry, and I'm more than happy to sign up for more Tyreek Hill this year. Yeah.
So give us a little. While I'm on the clock here in a second, give us a breakdown of Tyreek versus Cooper Kupp. That's a big decision people have to make in their big drafts this year. Would you lean one way or the other?
Yeah, for me, tiebreaker goes to just the quality of the offense. There's too many concerns for me with the Rams. They've fallen apart since they were the Rams that we were used to seeing. And granted, Cooper Kupp was certainly outperforming, throughout the start of the year prior to the injury. But just another year with Matt Stafford, a weakened offensive line, just everything seeming to fall apart. I prefer the overall quality of the Miami offense and the opportunity that Tyreek has, and really the focal position
You're on the clock.
that he has.
Yeah.
Interesting though. Amon-Ra St. Brown going a little bit earlier than you were used to at the 6. Yeah,
and you can see I was super excited. I tried to draft Eckler before it was my turn. I thought it was my turn. I'm clicking. I'm like, why isn't it working? Not that I'm super like this is my first Eckler share in this competition. I was just looking at my player shares. This is the 11th draft for me for this mid-stakes Circa event, Circa Fantasy Championships, which, by the way, we're doing these out in Vegas this year too in August. Like, oh my God.
It's going to be a blast.
It's going to be so much fun. You can get into an Eric Dickerson draft. You can get into Darius Rucker, Hootie in the Blowfish draft. Come on. That sounds awesome. But this my first share is ADP's the 105. Got him at the 108. Love that. If I'm going to get a guy that I don't have a lot of, I want to get him at value. But yeah, I'm on Rod at the 106 for Biplat Mandel, Bitcoin. Listen, he's a stud. He's a stud fantasy drafter. Bip is. He really knows his stuff. And this is obviously a go get your guy pick here. What do you think?
Well, he's also one of those guys, Amon-Ra St. Brown, that even if you want to call it a reach by ADP, just given what we've seen from him, given the rise of the Lions as an offense, given, his progression as a player, and just really the amount of volume that he's going to secure in this offense, no one can argue with a half a round reach on a player of a caliber like that, who could easily be in that top tier of wide receivers next year.
Yeah, and the other thing too is, Jack, that I got to be honest with you. After like the first 5er pick, like Tyreek Hill, and then you've got the Kelsey, and then you've got the Austin Eckler, like the 2 running backs, the 4 receivers, the tight end. After that, I feel like I'm on rise in the mix with CeeDee Lamb, even with Stephon Diggs. Like Diggs, he's got a better quarterback than all those guys. But like, I don't know, man. And I'm a Bills fan. I live in Western New York. At any moment, I feel like the wheels could fall off with Diggs. Like he's just so sensitive. We saw it happen in Minnesota. Like again, he's an alpha. Allen's an alpha. As long as they're both healthy, I think it'll be okay. As long as they're winning, but I feel like it's on a knife's edge up there in Buffalo. So I really feel like, any of these receivers, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, who just went, could be right in the mix there.
Yeah, I feel like after you get past the first 4 receivers from a receiver standpoint, it's really, there's a lot of consensus on that first 4. And then after that, it's really a toss-up. And like you were saying with Diggs, started the year just blowing up, like 14, 16 targets, but then really down the stretch, largely disappeared. So you've got that uncertainty with you.
Speaking of blowing up, look who decided to blow up the stream.
Let's go. What's up?
What's up, Scotty?
All right. Who'd you take? Let's see. Tyreek and Eckler. Okay.
That's right.
Nice.
Had to do it finally. This is my 11th draft. I finally get Eckler.
Yeah, man, you got to do it. He's, he was the play last year. He's probably going to be the play this year. And, regardless if they pay these guys their money, they're still going to produce when they're on the field. So,
bingo.
And you get a wide receiver here too, right? At 8, you're still getting one of these really good ones. So
yeah, that's the plan. I mean, I was hoping we'd get some. These drafts are too good. I'm hoping like Barkley will fall to me in the 3rd round or something, or this talk of holdouts and stuff, and he doesn't even make it to me in the 2nd.
Yeah, it looks like the crew, the chat room, some of the best minds in the world of high stakes fantasy football here tonight. Welcome, Jose, John, Stats Guru. It's good to see you guys. Kelsey was taken at 1-9, and Meyer is on the clock. He can go either way too. It's wide open when you take Kelsey, but if you don't get that wide receiver, you're really behind the 8 ball, I think. But it's either way. There's good players here either way. I won't name drop. I could.
You're on the clock.
All right.
Yeah, we all know what we want here. We all know what we're doing. I mean, Bip went ahead and took his guy at the 107. So I mean, or 106, whatever it was. So, yeah, no, we're all out here getting our guys. I took Waddle to follow up with Eckler. I love Waddle's floor. Like I just think that like he has a ceiling because of Tyreek Hill. Like he's not going to be the wide receiver 1 there. But man, it's so condensed. That passing tree is Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and it's just like the offense runs through them. And so I feel like at wide receiver 11,
yeah,
I'm more than happy to do that.
And a lot of times, right, we talk about when you take a wide receiver this early, you're also taking the quarterback, because as we've seen with wide receivers, like when you take a CeeDee Lamb, you have to have Dak kind of be in that game because you're married to both of them, right? Unlike sort of a running back that, regardless if a quarterback goes down, running back sometimes gets more. The offense might not run as smooth, but you're still going to get a lot of volume. Without your quarterback, the wide receiver really takes a dip. But with the good thing with Miami, you got Mike White. He's capable of getting it down the field. He would love to have Tyreek on one side and Waddle on the other. Sean has Waddle projected 89 catches, 15.5 yards per catch, 1,386 yards and 8 touchdowns. That's a big number. Those are big numbers.
Big numbers. Right.
They are. But like you said, the percentage is going to 1 and 1A. It's 1 and 1A. And, hey, that's the way that offense is going to go. And it's exciting to get either one of those guys in the first 2 rounds. Now, Jack, what's going on, my man? You got Tyreek, and who'd you take?
JT.
Jonathan Taylor. Can't turn down the value there. I've seen him slide a few times, and I think, there's a couple good running back options there, but I like the combination of Tyreek and JT. I think the plays per game is going to increase with Shane Steichen. I don't know how defenses are going to account in the red zone for both Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor. So there might not be a lot of targets. There may be, some snipes on the goal line, but I think there's going to make up for that inefficiency just by having to play off both of them.
Yeah, we've been seeing Chubb go. Sorry, Adam. We've been seeing Chubb go a little earlier. It seems like over this last couple of weeks, ahead of JT now. I looked at Sean's projections, just took a peek. He still has Jonathan Taylor at 5, and he's not as high on Chubb. He's got him down closer to the 10 range. But I have seen this. This has happened quite a bit here at the FFWC, where Chubb is going early second round.
Yeah, I think that people like the safety of Chubb. The offense and the quarterback, and him not having to deal with Kareem Hunt and all that type of stuff. So I don't mind Chubb. I think they're all in that same tier for me, honestly. I mean, I'm doing a ton of drafting. I'll get a little bit of Taylor. I'll get a little bit of Chubb. Right now, I have Taylor higher in my rankings. And I also have drafted Taylor more. So I'm glad to see that Jack likes him as well. That makes me feel better because it's, not having that target upside is scary because I don't think they're going to check it down to him a lot. That's just, mobile quarterbacks don't do that. And he is going to get sniped on the goal line. But I think if that offense can be more efficient, and like Steichen, I think is a big key in that whole process.
Did you guys already go ahead, Jack, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, for me, it was between JT and Tony Pollard was the choice I was making. And I feel like the tiebreaker there was that there's nobody else in the backfield other than JT where there's a realistic chance that the Cowboys can still bring in a goal line bigger back to take some volume from Pollard.
Yeah.
No question. They're both really good options. It doesn't really start to get real nervous. I don't really start to get until both of those guys are gone. When both of those guys are gone, and then you're looking at Jacob Stevenson type tier with the questions that we have around Jacobs taking a stand, that's where it starts to get a little edgy.
Yeah, that's interesting. I thought we might get a Barkley or a Jacobs falling. Barkley goes right at ADP. Jacobs goes ahead of ADP here. I think I'm looking here. He goes ahead. Normally he goes mid-third, the 305. He goes ahead of ADP. So there's guys that they're not afraid of the contract stuff. I got Barkley. I'm not afraid of it. I'll buy the dip on Barkley. Jacobs, I'm a little bit nervous. I'd like to get. I still don't mind drafting him, but I want him in the late third, early fourth, not late second. I think. But Squarehammer's coming on later, right? He can walk us through that.
He is. Let's. Did you guys already do a rundown, or you want me to go ahead and do that?
Go ahead and do that. Yeah.
Saved it for you.
Okay. I'm just glad I could make it, man. I was sitting there, I'm like, man, this ride is taking too long for the kids, and then got stuck by a train. But I knew it was going to be close. Thank you guys for pulling it together and getting it started on time. Hub City with the one hole, Phil Hartledge, Jefferson, Keenan Allen, Judy. I know everybody is. I keep saying this. There's a stigma about taking Keenan Allen this early, and then when you look at Sean's projections, there's really no worry if you. Sean is more of an upside. Here's what he should perform at if he stays healthy through 16 games. That's kind of how Sean's analysis works, and I'm kind of on board with that. You talk about the hammy injury that he had in week 1 after just 20 snaps. Then he missed 7 to 8 games last season. But he's still, if you look at all the metrics, and a lot of you guys I know are into the advancement, the metrics are all still there. That dude has a chance to put up elite numbers, 128 catches, 1,400 yards. I mean, that's the kind of numbers that are still available for Keenan Allen. And so, that's the kind of pace that he was on last year. Even after missing those 7-8 games. So he's got a high floor, consistency is there. And with that offensive coordinator at the Chargers, they could put up career numbers in that offense. So good job to Phil taking Jefferson, Keenan Allen. And then Judy, I don't know if you guys have broken this down yet, but Judy has been the talk of full-time fantasy this week with Sean's premium members can check out that outlook for Denver. He's very high on Jerry Jeudy, and he feels like that's the player that you want to fight for in the third round as a wide receiver. He has him at wide receiver 14.
That's not Sean in the one hole, is it?
No, that is Phil Hartledge.
Okay, perfect. Phil. Sorry, I don't know the people's names yet on the thing. I just want to give a general, and I probably shouldn't do this in a draft that I'm in the round that I'm talking about, but whatever. This is what we get paid to. This is what I get paid to do. So the Doors took wide receiver 21, DJ Moore, who is probably, in all honesty, a reach at wide receiver 21. We're taking wide receiver 21 over running back 10. Like Derrick Henry. I mean, I got Derrick Henry, so I'm biased, but it's past 80 ADP. I just feel like the receiver craze is. I know you have to start 3 and you can start 4 and all that, but like, and maybe you don't like Henry. I don't know, man. I see it everywhere, and it's just people taking these leaps on. Unless you think the guy's got like top 7 wide receiver upside, I feel like it's malpractice to be taking wide receiver 21 over running back 9 or 10 or 8. Like, I don't know, man. Jack, what do you think? I mean, you're doing a lot of these drafts. I mean, maybe you don't like Henry or whatever, but there's other running Gibbs. I could talk about Gibbs because I would have taken Gibbs there too. Like, I don't know. I just feel like it's getting, and it's going to get crazier as 2 rounds later, it'll be running back 17 and wide receiver 38 or something like that. Like, I mean, I know you're a receiver guy. I'm a receiver guy too, but eventually you got to go running back.
In almost every one of these drafts that I've been in, there's been at least one of the second round running backs that falls quite a bit further than ADP. And there's always a third round running back that gets pushed pretty deep as well. And I think those are great opportunities to grab value. I think the balance is always, if I take this pick now, I might win this round, but how does this set me up for the next several rounds and trying to catch up for it? So, but I agree. I think you get in these kind of avalanches and people start playing off of what everybody else is doing. And, it can get pushed a little too far. And that's where you get opportunities like Henry towards the mid to late third.
Yeah, and I'm going to show this real quick because I'm on the clock here in a second. But this is the visual ADP board for premium subscribers over here. Incredible stuff, Scott, that you have on this. Derrick Henry, look, I got him. He's, goes to 211. I got him at the 3.9 or 3.8, whatever it was. And again, we're taking like who got taken. It's just, I feel like guys are getting way too Hurts. It's taken high, but where was the receiver that I was? Debo, Judy went higher. DJ
Moore was what you're saying.
I mean, I guess he's moving. I guess I didn't realize he was going at the 3-4 turn, but like, it's just, I feel like we're getting a little out of control here with these receiver with the amount that are going so high.
Take your fourth guy here. Yeah. Eckler, Waddle, Henry. You can do obviously I would assume you're going to grab the best available wide receiver, the one that you cherish here.
Yeah. I think I like a couple of them here. I'm going to go this route. I think kind of like a Terry McLaurin. And that the other thing too, and then I'll stop ranting about this. The other thing too is I feel like they're all in the same tier. Like, so we'll go like reaching for guys that like DJ Moore, even if you love, he's in the same tier as London and Watson and McLaurin and all these guys. Like, you could have just waited, I don't know. I mean, that's just my thought. I feel like people are letting it go. Running backs go too far. And because again, here we are, wide receiver 25, running back 13. I mean, running backs went crazy there. I was hoping after I took Henry that Gibbs or Hall would fall to me in the 4th at the rate that this was going, especially with Team Meyer already had a running back. Sandpipers had 2. I was hoping I could sneak one of those other backs in, but fine.
Yeah, I was going to take a look at the other premium tool. Like, you pulled up the ADP board. There's actually ADP list, and that just gives you the high-low of the last 10 drafts, right? And that's what I'm interested to see. Like, you got Henry that late. Henry's latest right here was pick 33.
I got him at 32. Yep.
Just one time that it ever happened. If I took that out, sometimes you take out the high and the low. If I took that out of the last 10 drafts, it only happened one time. 90% of the time, he doesn't get past pick 26.
Right.
So I like how that works. On that ADP list, if you look at it with the last 10 drafts, you can take out one. That means that 90% of the time you're getting him at 26. So it's a tremendous value there to fall to you. That's the kind of pick that you can't miss, right? When you're taking it, because the value's there, you take it and you don't think about it. Even lineup construction be damned, really, at the end of the day, when you get a player that's going to be projected to score that kind of upside. Let's move on to good job for Phil Hartledge. He's got a good start. He just needs to hang on to the rails and don't do anything stupid. I mean, because he's got a really good start. He's got a lot of target guys for full time here. Square Hammer, Ashraf Ibrahim, Jamar Chase, Josh Jacobs, Calvin Ridley. Look, I've seen Calvin Ridley go at the 2-3 turn before. Jack, I know, you were the first one to even make me a little bit pause about this pick. Just talking about last show, you brought up the fact that the time away from the game has to be accounted for somehow, some way, because we've seen it now. You brought up Deshaun Watson as an example, but I don't think that's quite fair because he's a quarterback. It's a little bit different. Wide receiver, do we have any other examples of a wide receiver missing time, slow getting back to the gate? Maybe Ridley's going to be a second half guy.
Well, I mean, I think probably not as many good comps just due to the fact that a lot of it's typically more due to injury or a shorter term suspension. But I do think that there's bigger issues beyond just the time away from the game. I think the relationship between Trevor Lawrence and Christian Kirk is real. I also, if you look at some of the Trevor Lawrence's more advanced metrics, he's got some problems facing pressure, and that offensive line has questions, especially with their left tackle getting suspended for the first 4 games. So it's not a hate. Oh,
No.
Phil.
He's so right.
Oh,
come on. Sniped him.
Oh, I thought I had it.
Hey.
You thought he could just talk and distract Phil. I love it.
Yeah. For those of you at home or listening in the gym, Big Phil from the one hole took Dobbins, Lamar at the 4-5 turn, and I'm assuming that Lamar was your affection there.
Well, Jack had Andrews, so he was waiting to stack.
Well, not only did I have Andrews, I had Tyreek Hill, who they play in the week 17, and I had Deebo Samuel, who they play in week 16. So
it's advanced.
He's a Louisville guy, though. He's a Louisville guy. He's a Louisville guy. You if you would have known the story on the guy that's sitting in that one hole.
Well, not only that, but Allen's there too. You're like, well, you got to figure Allen's going to go before Lamar. You figure you got a good shot there.
Yeah, he really did twist the knife, is what he did. I mean, it's
nice job, Phil.
Yeah,
nice job, Phil. Phil loves it.
Calvin Ridley, 2021. The last time we saw this kid, where's he at? Where's he at on the list? Did he play in 20? Why am I not seeing any numbers in 2021? Where's he at?
He 2021 he played a couple games and had the mental illness.
Oh, that's right. That's right. It wasn't just time off. It was also that in 21.
Yeah.
Took some time away. So we have to go all the way back to 2020 in COVID year, 90 catches, 1370 and 9 before we saw the true full Calvin Ridley.
Right.
That's been a while. Yeah, that's more than just a year off.
Yeah.
So Ash, though, he will be on to talk about that. ETN, Josh Allen. He's sort of got a balanced attack there. He needs to fire away at some wide receivers now that he's taken a quarterback in the 5th. Let's look at Pink Daily at the 3 hole.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Pink Daily at the 3 hole. Wait a minute, my software just blipped out here. Let me pull it back. Dink, dink, dink. Okay. Cooper Kupp, Tony Pollard, Ramondre Stevenson, Christian Kirk, Mike Williams. I like this build. I really like this build. He really pulled it off through 5. It's a great start. Just got to keep hammering away and firing away at it. I think his running backs are intact. The wide receivers are looking good. This is Jerry Bryant and Andrew Palermo, 2 veterans of this format. They know what they're doing. And look, we need to talk about Cooper Kupp because I'm telling you, I mean, I was in the FSGA draft and he fell to the 1-8. and it's a lot of old school industry quote unquote experts in this draft, and he had tightrope surgery on the ankle, and it's a surgery that he didn't necessarily need, right? But he got it fixed.
Yeah, I saw you were doing a mock draft championship today, Scott, and you took up and you were talking about how he didn't need the surgery, but he got it anyways. He got
it anyway, rather than letting it heal on its own. And I think it's the ceiling play. Like when you're trying to win the $50,000 to turn this thing into a big deal than just a league win. You don't swing for the fences, you swing for the parking lot. And that's what the Cooper Kupp, I think, pick is, because he did have missed time, but it was 75 catches through 8 games. So, that we can see that extrapolates to a big season.
Yeah.
And look, McVay's bringing in Mike LaFleur from the Jets. I mean, that is a little interesting there, because you can't call what he did in New York a success. Right.
I hope McVay's still the guy there. Maybe LaFleur is just like another set of eyes or something for McVay, but McVay's a stud. The Kupp's, I think Kupp and Hill, I think what you're going to see in a lot of the big money drafts, August comes going to be Jefferson and Chase, and then Kupp and Hill will probably rotate as the wide receiver 3 and 4 kind of, and then obviously McCaffrey will be in the mix there too. So.
Yeah, but can you take him in front of McCaffrey? I mean, not expecting, unless you're expecting an injury and saying I'm forecasting, and you can't do that with McCaffrey. You can't do that with any player really in the NFL. So it's like, I don't think I could do it there. I can definitely do it 4. I can definitely do it 3. I can do it in front of Chase. I just can't do it for me in front of McCaffrey. But
yeah,
look,
I think
for ranked 23rd last year, and he only played 8 games.
Yeah,
that's dumb.
Yeah, I know. I think Kupp is so good, and the thing about McCaffrey is he's older. When Elijah Mitchell was there, he averaged like 16 fantasy points a game or something like right in that range, 16 or low 17s, which is okay. It's fine. It's just not the Christian McCaffrey that we've grown to love. Again, they have so many weapons. The problem with the Niners is they have so many weapons that it's when they're all healthy, it's hard for them to eat. But when one is out, the rest of them can eat. So we'll see. I think McCaffrey, you got to project him as the RB1, but in a draft, I think I would go Kupp over McCaffrey, just because, granted, Kupp's coming off an injury, but Kupp might be the receiving version of McCaffrey. He has years where he's the best ever, and then he has years where he gets hurt and he's useless. So I feel like you get a lot of those out of those two guys.
Yeah, and then also when you read Sean's outlook, he talks about the offensive line. It's a suspect offensive line, no doubt about it. It's not what it was during their big run and during Kupp's run in the past. So he says you should be expecting shorter passes, working around the line of scrimmage, and then you got to trust that Matt Stafford is in sound health. I mean, him sitting there turning down a contract restructuring, that never feels good. It's like, okay, is the vibe going to be a good vibe there in LA, or is it going to turn south for And if it does.
The problem is that, we're at picks 4 and 5. Like, these are all just minute details that are really making the difference, and things that you would typically ignore a few rounds later on.
Right. Or
at that level of investment.
You just take him.
Sure. But at that level of investment, you're really scrutinizing the finer points.
I almost want to take Lamb if I'm going to take a receiver, not name, and I'm just bound to it. And I'm like, okay, because Lamb, I just don't see any question marks at all. Like, where is the question mark for Lamb, other than the fact that, if Dak plays poorly and the boo birds come out, the Cowboys turn and bench him or something like that?
I think the biggest question mark for Lamb from an offensive environment perspective is probably named Mike McCarthy, and just the play calling just shifts away. Yeah, I think the loss of Kellen Moore, we don't know what sort of impact that's going to have. But to me, that's the biggest doubt that you can possibly raise.
Do you think Dak's job is safe?
Yeah, I think they're all in on Dak at this point, and I don't see any point. They're not going to get any upside by moving away from him. So.
Yeah, I think Dak's job's safe. I think he's going to have a good year. You got enough weapons there. I think I think they're going to lean a little bit more past without Zeke back there just having to get all these carries.
Okay, real quick. At the Giants, let's say the Giants win that home opener. Then they play the Jets. The Jets could win that game. At Arizona, they win that game. They're 1-2. Let's say they lose to New England.
Oof.
They're 1-3. At San Francisco, 1-4. At the Chargers, lose to Herbie, 1-5. Going into the bye week, what is Jerry Jones saying? Is he saying this is not going to work? This experiment is over?
Well, what does he do? I mean, what else can he do?
Well, the only thing you can do.
Yeah, but there's no interesting prospect on the bench they want to, see what they have in. I think they'd go down with that ship.
Yeah,
okay.
And I don't think they lose to New England.
I certainly hope not.
I certainly hope not.
All right. Well, hey, good draft there. Pollard, Stevenson, Kirk, Mike Williams. I love Mike Williams. I think he gets a bad rap when he's in the game. He's wide receiver 1 capable. Oscar Tango from the 4-hole. This is Steve Mercer. Jumped into the draft today. Christian McCaffrey, T. Higgins. And by the way, if you're in the 4-hole and McCaffrey falls to you, you're just like, man, this is feeling good. I'm feeling pretty good. T. Higgins, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Mike Evans. Mike Evans, wide receiver 30. And then Kenneth Walker. He just put Kenneth Walker in him on the 6th round. So,
yeah, Kenneth. I was looking for me. I took Burrow over Walker because I already had Eckler and Henry.
Yeah,
but Walker is a massive steal based on ADP in this format. So for him to be able to slide in Walker with a hero RB build with McCaffrey, I mean, if everything works out there, that's a really nice draft he's got going.
Yeah, and it's setting up for a late pick Geno Smith, to just go ahead and complete the stack. Not that that's a secret or anything. It's just it's there. It's setting up pretty. He can wait on quarterback. He can keep firing away at the skill position players. He can take a tight end here if he wants because he's got everything locked in. Just depends on how he feels about depth throughout the draft. Great start. Ripper here, Tyreek, JT, Debo, Mark Andrews. We know about the Lamar snipe. Marquise Brown to pivot. And then in Jigba, maybe my favorite Seattle receiver even this year.
It's funny. I was on a podcast last week, Fantasy and Frames. They had me on their guest. They were awesome. And we were talking about Devonta Smith and AJ Brown and how Devonta Smith, had a better college career than AJ Brown. It was a higher draft capital. He had 2 great years to start his career. Devonta Smith may be better than AJ Brown. Jackson Smith and Jigba, same thing. He might be better than DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Maybe not game 1, but maybe game 10.
Right.
Maybe not this year, but maybe he could be the best receiver there. And he's going off the board as wide receiver 38.
And I think his skill set in particular suits Geno's game. Yeah, I think, obviously last year you saw there were some deep bombs, but in general, DK was not seeing the sort of volume, especially in the red zone that he typically did. And instead Lockett feasted as he typically does. I think JSN's skill set is very aligned with what they want to do. And he's one of the type of picks that I think comes on in the second half of the year. And I don't think he's not going to deliver at least where I picked him. And I think there's at least a shot that he could be some sort of league-winning ceiling in that playoff push.
Man, I'll tell you what, I'd love to redesign. If I had it to do over again, I would love to redesign the back end of our rankings and our projections and have it to where we can say, okay, here's our projection, but I want to do the first half, second half weighted, right? And publish those as well. So it's like I could see, let's say we have 65 catches projected for Jackson Smith and Jigba, or 60. Let's just say 60 since we know that number, right? And that's a number that we project for in Jigba for his rookie season. It would not be shocking, okay, for a rookie receiver to come in and do 20 catches in the first half and 40 of the 60 in the second half. And so when you're looking at 60 catches, you're saying, okay, that's only a wide receiver 45. But in the second half of the season, that 40 catches becomes wide receiver 18 or 20, and you're getting him at wide receiver 38. I mean, that's the kind of analysis that you got to do with rookies, especially that have that first half, second half split. And you can sit him. You could sit him with the way you build your team in the right way so that you can wait and see what you get out of Njigba. You don't have to throw him into the fire week one. You can sit him on the bench and wait and see how he's being used in the offense before you ever trot him out there. Or wait till an injury, or wait till more opportunity presents itself before you trot him out. And then, like you said, by the second half, boom, he's in your lineup every week, and he's getting you 40 catches down the stretch. So,
yeah, no, I completely agree. It's you got to wait it that way, and a lot of people are doing that. They're looking at the schedule too. Like, if you have a really, really pretty strength of schedule in the playoffs, man, that's weighted. That's more than a tiebreaker to me. I think that goes into my personal projections or personal rankings, of how this stuff is going to work out, because you just what's the use in getting there if when you get there, your team kind of falls apart.
You're on the clock.
So that's one of the great things I like about this format is you don't got to worry about the bye weeks in the playoffs because of the way that it's all set up. So that's another sweet option too.
And then Jack, can you go ahead? Montgomery here, you're taking him at RB 23. I mean, to think that you're getting that, this is to add to your conversation from earlier, Adam. You're getting RB 23 in the 7th round. I mean, that's pretty insane. But Montgomery, I mean, that's right about where he's being drafted ADP wise. So, was it just a value system type pick, or is he somebody that you're targeting?
It was always going to be Montgomery. So long as he was there, round 7's Montgomery. I'm probably now going to get sniped on Montgomery for the rest of the draft season. But just for the sake of red versus blue and in the spirit of good discussion, probably a top 2, top 3 offensive line. They gave him good money. And you know what? Jahmyr Gibbs is great. He's a great talent. But CMC – weighed 10 pounds more than him as a rookie and didn't max out over 200 touches. I don't think Jahmyr Gibbs has ever gotten, I think 192 with touches was the most he saw in college. I think he has a very specific role, but people just assume David Montgomery is going to be Jamal Williams, except David Montgomery has been performing admirably behind a bad offensive line and has had 15% target share. The guy can catch passes. He's a red zone back. I think he's going to have a bigger role than people expect in a great offense, in a great offensive line. So RB2, check. Yes, please.
Yeah. The other thing about that is, even if he's Jamal Williams had 16 rushing touchdowns last year. No one's expecting, you can't project Montgomery for that. But if he gets 12, I mean, he's in that role. It's not like Jamal Williams is popping off 60-yarders. It's all goal line touchdowns, and Gibbs isn't going to be the goal line back there. So I think double-digit touchdowns is probably almost a lock for Montgomery in that role if he stays healthy, because he's better than Jamal Williams. My thing is, I do also like Gibbs because we talk about this all the time. Alvin Kamara, his rookie year was RB3. He had 35% of the carries. Like, he doesn't in that role. If he's going to get 60 catches, I mean, he's explosive. The O-line is awesome, and the offense is awesome, and Goff will throw it. So I think you can get them both and be just fine.
Yeah, I'm fine drafting them both on different teams.
I
do think for me, one of the interesting parts is that if David Montgomery misses time, Jahmyr Gibbs is not going to take over much of his work. If Jahmyr Gibbs misses time, David Montgomery can soak up those targets and just include, just soak up more volume. That's not to say Montgomery over Gibbs. I'm not taking him in the 3rd, but it's an interesting contingency upside that he has, that he's able to absorb the whole role, whereas Gibbs can't.
And
the Lions.
Sorry, go ahead, Scott.
Oh, I'm sorry. The Lions have been trending up in the rushing game for the last 3 years, right? And think about this. So they went from 4 yards a carry to 4.3 to 4.7, from 1,300 yards to 1,700 yards to 2,100 yards, from 330 carries to 400 carries to 446 carries. Everything is trending up about this rushing attack. The offensive line is a top 10 offensive line. And you just upgraded not one running back, but both running backs. from Swift to Gibbs, you can call that an upgrade. And of course, from Jamal Williams at his age to a David Montgomery, they're both upgrades. And so you're like, okay, what's possible in this offense? 2,500 yards and 5 yards per attempt. It could happen. Sean expects Jahmyr Gibbs to lead the NFL in electric plays, the 50-yard plays. I mean, he's that kind of sizzle. And then Montgomery's he's a workhorse. So very, very interesting situation here for this Lions team. It should be an amazing Thursday night game, guys. I'm so pumped about Thursday night at Circa in Vegas. This whole thing, the game, everything about it is just going to be just off the chains. It's going to be so much fun. And I don't know who's going to win this game. I really don't. You would think the Chiefs are going to win the game, but I don't think you can say that with confidence at all. I don't even know what is the line for that game.
I'm not
You're on the
sure,
clock.
but that makes my decision hard.
NFL Vegas Week 1 spreads.
It's between Michael Thomas and Jamison Williams, so I'm gonna go Jamison.
Yeah, because we just talked about the Lions. We talked them up for the last 10 minutes here.
That's right. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Scott. We get free looks at these guys.
7-point game. Yeah, 7-point spread. Man,
okay.
How can you not be all over the now? Of course, the Chiefs. It could be a great game. We could have this feeling that the Lions are on an uptick, and Mahomes and Kelsey still put up a couple touchdowns in the fourth quarter to pad this game and win it going away. It could still happen that way, no problem. But it is a 7-point spread.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Kansas City they'll probably blow them out, but I think everyone's high on the Lions, the offense. I mean, I think the Lions defense won't be able to keep up, is what it'll be. But listen, it's they get Super Bowl hangovers too. I mean, the Bills went into the Rams week 1 this last year and blew the doors off in the second half. So
let's talk about Bitcoin. Let's talk about Bitcoin. He's the 6th team here. This is Biplab Mendal, one of the prominent, long-time, high-stakes veterans, plays a lot of FFPC, plays a lot of he's been with us since the beginning, long-time, very successful player. Amon-Ra St. Brown at 6. Now, if we go to pull up the old ADP list here for the premium ADP, Amon-Ra St. Brown, that's the highest he's went in the last 10 drafts. His highest was 7. So here you go. He just set the record for Amon-Ra St. Brown.
There you go. Congrats, Bip. Cheers.
Get a piece of that Lions pie because you're not going to get him. If you want your guy, you go get him, and that's what he did. Olave Cooper, who people are not as high on anymore, but that's okay. Najee Harris, Aaron Jones in the 5th. This is why people continue to wait because they keep seeing drafts where they can get guys like Aaron Jones in the 5th round. Does that make sense? Doesn't make sense. He's the best player he's the best player on the team. I'll guarantee you if you asked the Packers players, they'll say Aaron Jones is the best player on our team. Yeah,
Jones another faller in this game of, RB 17 versus wide receiver 30, 31, 30, 29. Now again, it's all about your build, right? So like Jack ends up making out great. He's got the hero RB build, includes the elite tight end in that build. I know we're talking about Bip, but I'm just showing like the comparison of why you would take certain guys. I mean, he's going to get all the touches, Najee, Jones, Akers. So starts with 3 receivers. So he just needs 2 of those 3 to hit. And if he gets them, I love his Gabe Davis pick, by the way, wide receiver 42.
By the way, if you believe in Jordan Love, which, okay, you may not, there's nothing that says that Green Bay can't win that division, right? I mean, that's really the only piece that is different. And so you ask yourself, is an aging Aaron Rodgers versus a young, first-round wide receiver or a first-round quarterback that you took several years ago? Is this his 4th year in the league or something? He's been waiting, and we've been waiting to see him, and now we get a shot. But, look, Aaron Jones, he's a 1,000-yard guy for sure. He's a 45 catch guy for sure if he plays a full season. You're getting a tremendous value for a wide receiver heavy build, a 0 RB build, a hero RB build, any of those. Jones is the type of player I think you want. Yeah,
for sure. I like Jones. I mean, Jones in the 5th round is wild, but he's still RB 17. It's kind of where it's been going as RB 17. It's just the running backs are getting pushed down. So Bip gets some nice value there. And this draft is getting wild right now. We're getting wide receiver 52 here in the 9th round. This might be one of those drafts where, I mean, it might be working right into Jack's favor here, but where I might be like, you know what, I need more receivers, but I'm not gonna give these guys good running backs and start. I mean, if we're already past Nico Collins, I mean, I'm gonna take a peek here. I mean, we're into wide receiver 3-4 territory here. Like, it's on their own teams, right? Like it's getting ugly. This is the 1v1s, right? It's Zay Flowers versus, Samaje Perine, who might be the starting running back for the first 4 weeks for the Broncos this year. So
I'm gonna spoil everybody while you guys are on the clock. This is a great read. The Browns team outlook on Full Time Fantasy is an absolutely fantastic read. I'll give you the takeaways, the two that I took. And again, this is premium member stuff, but Sean does an amazing job, and we give it to you always for free on the podcast. We never hold anything back. Amari Cooper, the line from Sean was, quote, he should have the most targets in his career.
Wow.
What do you with that line? It's a headline. That's an email. That's a blast. That's a tweet. That's an everything. He should have the most targets in his career for Amari Cooper. That big year. And the other one, Cedric Tillman, a player to fight for in drafts. Now, we'll talk about him later. Obviously, be drafted maybe somewhere down at the very bottom. He called him a player to fight for in drafts. It's like you want on your bench. Somebody that you want to just hang on to for that quote unquote second half or for an injury. Yeah, those are the two headlines. Read that outlook. Cleveland Browns. Let's pull up Amari Cooper. He has a wide receiver 18, 81 for 1094 and 7. 81 for 1094 and 7. And you're getting into wide receiver 20s. You're getting a tremendous value. The nice Aaron Jones, Cam Akers stack. Nothing wrong with that. Gabe Davis, Sky Moore as a flyer. And then there it is. Deshaun Watson. He pairs with right there. Boom.
That's right. It's a draft plan. It's a draft plan,
That's a draft plan right there.
Right or wrong. That's it. And who knows? He might now that and Bip's in the chat. Maybe he wants to give us a little intel here. But I don't even know if he was planning on going with those three running backs. But he, like you said, Aaron Jones, that value. He's like, man, I can't pass that up at all, right? So, no, I like when they do that. Sometimes you just got to take the value for sure. For sure.
Let's look at the Doors. Great team, Bip. The Doors, Tom Northrup. He takes CeeDee Lamb. We talked about that. Devonta Smith. Yep, could be the number one. DJ Moore. Okay. There's not going to be a lot of volume there as we saw last year, but they will see some improvement. Brandon Ayuk. He's going 4 wide out of the gate. Here we go. Rachaad White. Justin Fields. Okay, he's going with the Fields more. So he's back. He's putting his money where his mouth is. When you're taking DJ Moore in the third, what are you saying? Big year for DJ Moore and Justin Fields. Yeah,
you have to. And listen, it all makes sense. Like, just make it make sense, right? Make it make sense. If you're going to take DJ Moore high, that means you believe in Justin Fields, and that's a great pick. Justin Fields over Herbert. I mean, man, Herbert, Ripper, great pick. Like, I didn't even realize you took Herbert. Like, round 8. Justin Herbert. Like, wow. I just feel like even when I wait on quarterback, you know what? I'm going to wait on QB and wait. I get Burrow in the 6th round, and Herbert goes 2 rounds later. Like, I should have waited even longer.
That's the game of chicken here at FFWC with the quarterback. And there's I don't know if it's intentional or if it just happens, but especially when quarterbacks are taken early, there's just sort of a vibe among the rest of like, let's make it hurt. Let's make it hurt that you took it early and push everyone down another round.
Yeah, that's right. And that definitely hurts for sure.
And there's 3 teams. There's 3 teams left that do not have a quarterback, but we finally have 9 off the board. Provided nobody takes 2 and tries to, stick a little knife in one of these teams, you're going to get one of those top 12 guys. So this team, the Doors, Lamb, Devonta, DJ Moore, Ayuk, Rachaad White, Fields, Quentin Johnston, Rashad Bateman, Brian Robinson. Now, that's your second RB, Brian Robinson. what could you have done instead of taking Rashad Bateman at 8'6"? You could have maybe locked up that Washington backfield if you liked Brian Robinson, maybe with Gibson and Brian Robinson. Maybe that would make you feel a little bit better looking back in hindsight. But he wanted to make sure he had some depth at the wide receiver position, and he's got it. And I've noticed that too, Jack. You've done a lot of wide receiver zero RB here. I know that if you stop, you're not doing that zero RB team justice, right? You need to be able to
on the clock,
pile them on, and have those bye weeks covered, and have those injuries, because you're going to be rolling out 5 every week.
It really only works if you commit to the bit. Like you have to go to the point that it's uncomfortable, because as much, we have our view as to how things are going to happen on draft day, but things always don't go that way, and you're going to need more depth than you expect. And so, really pushing the advantage, taking more than you anticipate. That's been my
it's hard to do though, emotionally.
It is.
As a drafter, it's hard to do because you're scared to death that you're going to end up like my FSGA team, be like, okay, you're going to get sniped every round, and you just but
you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. So.
And this is what I would tell people too. Like, there's a lot that goes into this. Like, if you're gonna, and this is what a lot of these guys in this room, I know, I've drafted against them. They're excellent drafters. We put a lot of time into this. You need to know, hey, I'm sure Jack, he's a zero RB guy, a hero RB guy. He spends time, I'm sure, locked into like, all right, in these middle rounds, I got to be able to pick, like, he's got to play David Montgomery. He can eloquently put why he loves David Montgomery, because he's a zero RB, hero RB target running back in the later rounds for himself. If you're going to go hero or zero RB, you got to know who your late round running backs are going to be and why. You got to know who your receivers are going to be in the 5th and 6th round that you like and why. I mean, he pulls it off perfectly. He gets his elite tight end. He gets his elite quarterback in the 8th round. That's how you do hero or zero RB. And then he's got Montgomery, Dillon, Warren. He's got his kind of running backs that are an injury away. Dillon's an injury away. Warren's an injury away. Montgomery's an injury away. It's hero RB 101 right there in that draft. So if people, it's hard to pull it off, Scott, if you're uncomfortable doing it, and if you don't want to do it. So it's hard for you to like study Sky Moore, wide receiver 50, like specific players, specifically running backs, fit these type of builds. So it's hard to do when you're not working your strategy around it consistently.
I like Bip's comment in the chat. Sky was a target. Sky Moore, 1 free look on Thursday, but I expect him to lead the wide receivers after Kelsey, or it could be Rashee Rice. I mean, there's a lot of love for Rashee Rice too. Another comment from Bip. Aaron Jones, I was surprised to see there. Cam was a target. I think Cam smashes this year, continues his end of year form. Hey, I root for him. I do. I root for these guys. Years ago, I used to root for Ryan Williams at Arizona, and he had the same injury, the Achilles injury. And it's a terrible, terrible injury, especially for a running back. And they can give you that fool's gold the year that they finally come back and get out there, and it looks like, oh, okay, he's going to be fine. But I'll tell you, I'm always just worrisome that injury is going to rear its ugly head sooner than later. And statistically, most running backs don't overcome that injury.
Who are you talking about, Scott? Sorry.
I'm talking about Cam Akers' Achilles.
Akers, that's what I thought you were talking about. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like, it's just one of those injuries that you hope he's able to defy the odds, because that's what he has to do while he's out there. He is just, when I watch him run, I am looking at him through the lens of, this has not been done before at this level in the NFL by a running back that has this injury. It just doesn't. You can go back and look at all those ruptured Achilles injuries for running backs, and they just don't. They might have 1 year out of the gate where they're sort of holding it together, and then starts to come apart. But
yeah, Jack, after you pick, I want your take on Akers, because I've been doing a lot of like him and hawing about him. I have no Akers. I'm kind of I've been off of him, but
Jake,
I just feel like with that offense, who's going to get the ball? He did have that, like Scott said, he had that nice stretch at the end of the year. That year, I mean, he probably doesn't fit your type of builds, but if he falls, like if it's a situation where he falls 2 rounds and he's in there in the 8th round or something crazy, like, are you willing to take that, or are you just like Achilles injury? I'm out.
For me, he just doesn't. There's a lot of talk, especially, as we were talking earlier about how wide receivers are going faster than ever, running backs are getting pushed down. And so there's, does the running back dead zone exist or not? And I think structurally it does. It doesn't matter when you take him. It's just the opportunity cost. But running backs from 13 to about 24, give or take, typically are not performing significantly better than the next 12. They're getting pulled up in order to, fit lineups. And so when you're trying to look for people who are going to beat that trend, you're looking for youth, you're looking for pass catching, you're looking for certain things, offensive environment. And I don't deny the talent of Cam Akers, but he's never going to command a big target share with Cooper Kupp there. I'm worried about the overall offense. And he's not old, but he's not one of these unproven young running backs that we don't know what we have yet. So not a bad pick, but just not, you're picking archetypes of players, and he's just not the one that I'm going to go with.
Poor Adam. He has to show everybody his cue. He can't have a cue.
I don't even have a cue.
It's like, okay, who you got
I don't
there,
even have
Adam?
a cue. I got to fly back.
And I just popped onto Twitter while you guys were breaking that down, so I could share the draft with everybody. And I see this ad by Bud Light, man. They just get it absolutely ratioed every time they open.
You're on the clock.
Man. It's just over and over and over again. They are getting clobbered. Okay, let's look at AK-47's team. Adam's got a great squad going. Eckler, Waddle, D. Henry. We talked about the longest he's been on the board in the last 10 drafts. Scary Terry, Deontay, Joe Burrow, Joey B, DeAndre Swift, Jamison Williams for the second half, Evan Ingram, and Juju Smith-Schuster.
I'm just going to keep pounding receiver here. It's just I mean, Juju, I don't like the Patriots. I don't like Juju and all that, but I feel like he is the one there. He's probably wide receiver 56. They're going to be playing from behind a lot because their schedule is so hard. I think they might have the toughest schedule in the league. So whatever. He's my wide receiver 4 to start the year. Wide receiver 5 once Williams.
You're getting back. Tremendous value. Yeah, Sean has him projected as wide receiver 37, 74 catches, 859 and 6. Yeah. And that would be a great year for Juju, and the Patriots would be probably thrilled with that. I don't know if it's going to be Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi. I mean, I'm assuming that Mac is going to hold on to the job, but maybe not. I mean, they could come out of the gate looking at that schedule. We had this same conversation earlier in the program, talking about Dak. But what if we do the same thing with Mac? Let's look at the schedule here. New England, Philadelphia, week 1, loss. Miami, week 2, could be a loss. At the Jets, loss, perhaps. At Dallas, loss. New Orleans. Are they 1-4 now? At the Raiders, 2-4. Buffalo, 2-5. At Miami, 2-6. I mean, there's a good chance. There's a good chance that Bailey Zappi is the second half guy.
Yeah, and fine. I mean, Zappi had a nice little run last year. I mean, Mac Jones is not the answer long term for sure, but so yeah, it'll be interesting there. But I mean, I don't love Juju. I have to explain it here as I draft, but that's just, again, wide receiver 56. I got to take 56. It's fine. I do want to circle back real quick. Mm-hmm. Bip, jump in the chat. We were talking about Aaron Jones earlier. Aaron Jones, he was surprised to see there. Cam was a target. He thinks Cam smashes this year and continues from the end of last year form. So, so that's interesting to kind of go about what we were talking about. Also, this is a good point too. People don't think about it a lot. Sky Moore was a target. The free look Thursday. That's a big thing in these drafts. People don't really consider is that could be a tiebreaker too. Cause I don't have a stat or a piece of, an analytic to point to that says, oh, a player is this % more valuable because you get to pick whether you're going to start him or not after watching him play in that Thursday night game. But there is certainly some value to that to be able to bench a guy and not, especially a guy that you would have started regardless. Like if Gibbs has a dud and you were going to start him, well, you just saved yourself a bad RB spot. So there's some value to that, especially when wins are very important in these championships. It's not just overall points.
Well, especially too with this unique structure, it's not only the look ahead, but the first week is the all play. And so, you know,
that's true too.
If you can avoid a big mistake,
right,
or if you can put in a great performer, that one player, I think, has more of an impact in getting you to the top half, whereas beating, you know, an individual person, you know, who knows? So
who knows? That's a good point, Jack. Yep.
I'm going to try to predict who Adam is going to take. Now, don't let me see Adam. If
you're on the clock,
I'm going to take.
You're going to pull something. Yeah, you're going to pull something up here.
By the way, Ash is backstage if we want to bring him in when we're
pull him in.
I'm done
you've already got your quarterback. You've already got a tight end. Could you use two? Maybe not. You've got 3 running backs. Maybe you take a 4th here.
No.
Henry.
The guy I kind of like. I'm going to go. This is a guy I was taking early on. And I haven't taken him in a little bit, but we just did the AFC West podcast, and Sean got me kind of riled up on Rashee Rice. So he has him as the number 1 receiver there in Kansas City.
He does, yep.
I don't necessarily agree with it, but listen, if Sean's great at what he does, so at this point in the draft, you know, wide receiver, let me see what he was. Wide receiver 66. If I have to drop him, I'm not upset about it. So just again, taking another shot at a receiver here. Not nothing special here, but let me bring in Ash real quick.
And you're getting a piece of Pat Mahomes. I mean, there's nothing wrong with
that. Thursday night free look. If he scores a touchdown, I can plug him in. You know,
they spent some draft capital on him for sure. And he was a nice target at SMU. If you watch the highlights, I mean, look, if you didn't get to see SMU games, go to YouTube and check him out. But he's going to be a threat in that offense, winning jump balls. That's kind of what he can do. It's kind of reminds me of like a Devontae Parker.
Kind of reminds me of Ash. Ash, are you winning jump balls? Is that your thing?
Yeah, well. You know, I'm with a partner. I'm doing this draft with Mike Arts. He's new to our league, so we wanted to do a little different build. And cheers, guys.
Cheers, Ash. Are you coming to Vegas this year, Ash?
You know, I just started a new job, so I don't think it's going to happen this year. So, you know, I just started selling cars, believe it or not.
But aren't you in travel? Aren't you in the travel industry?
I still do that. I'm a man of many talents, you know.
Renaissance man.
I got bored staying home. I got so bored staying home. I said, let me get a job. So if anybody needs an Audi, let me know. Yeah, so I don't think I'll make it out this year, unfortunately. But unless something changes, we'll see.
He's on the clock right here.
I got my partner making the pick.
There you go.
So we're trying to build something that has a lot of upside. Like we decided to go into this and say, you know what, we're going to try to hit it. You know, Ridley obviously early 3rd, higher than he's been going. We weren't afraid of Josh Jacobs. We had to take him there. You know, I think we built a pretty strong team. And if they hit, I think this team has a shot to be really, really good. And obviously, if they don't, we'll be bottom feeders, you know. You know, we decided to take some risk in this draft.
I'm a little surprised that ETN is falling to this extent, right? End of 411. Now, again, that's RB15. Maybe that's where he belongs. But he feels like he has that RB10 upside. Maybe he's not. He doesn't have the right build or the right endurance to handle the NFL with that many carries. But look, you're getting tremendous value there, and you know he's got a running back now that can sort of help him complement that pounding that he's got to take in Bigsby. And he's an example of last year where middle of the season he started really rounding the corner, and he missed a little bit of action there, but he was handling 20 carries a game and getting 3-4 catches a game. Those catches come in handy in PPR.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's definitely a high upside guy. Same as Ridley, same as Elijah Moore. We probably did we reach on Elijah Moore? I don't know. I mean, what was our choices? Jackson Smith and Jigba, Jahan Dotson. What was our choices there? So I said, you know what? Let's go with Elijah. And then Javonte, another guy that if he hits, he's going to be, if he comes back, obviously the injury is a big issue, but, we feel pretty good about this team. We definitely are taking some risk here, but like I said last week, the days of going straight by ADP are over. You just got to take a player you like. I mean, I never take a quarterback in the 5th round, but I said, let's take one of the top 3. And so that's what we did, we could have probably waited on Burrow and hopefully could have got him to pair up with Chase. But they said, let's go with Allen there. Speaking
of ADP, were you you obviously don't care about the Josh Jacobs stuff, right? You're expecting him to kind of come and play right away?
You're on the clock.
I mean, look, we saw what happens when a running back, Scott knows, we're Jet fans. We see what happens when a running back takes a year off and throws away a lot of money. It's terrible for these guys. They deserve to get paid more. But I can't see throwing away $10 million. Will he hold out of camp? You know what? These guys don't play in camp anyway. They'll get some practice time, but none of them play in the games. So I expect him to come in a couple of weeks before the season starts, get himself in shape. Just like Barkley, we weren't afraid of Barkley. If he fell to us, we were going to take him. So, it sucks for these guys, but they're going to play. I just cannot imagine them sitting out.
I can't either. This is July. The July fears, in the tough talk on Twitter is just I just don't see it actually. You get into the room, mature adults, you come out of the room, you're not going to do that to your team, and it'll be about the team. And that'll make it happen. We just talked about this last week, guys, how the maturity of the drafters has been such that they understand what it takes to win in the FFWC. And that through 7 rounds, you probably aren't going to see as many teams taking quarterback and tight end early. And in this draft, we see not 1, not 2, but 3 teams taking quarterback and tight end. And Ash, you're one of those 3.
Yes,
you took quarterback and tight end early.
Yes, and I never do it. I always hold off on those 2 positions. We targeted Waller. We felt like, again, here's a guy. What do the Giants have at the wide receiver position? Not a lot. We said, this is the guy that he can catch. If he stays healthy, I'm going to put it out there, he can catch 100 passes this year. I don't know if he will, but honestly, I mean, there's just not much in that wide receiving core that is anything that you would say, wow, that's a great player. He's going to take away targets from Waller. So, again, another high upside guy. We could have went with Goddard. Goddard is a great player, but he kind of is capped at a certain number,
Yeah, they've got like 4 40-catch guys on that squad right now, and maybe you could even say 5. You really don't know who's going to stand out, but Waller is the guy that's going to catch the most passes on that team. Period. End of story. If he plays, a full season, so it just strikes me that when you take a quarterback, you almost have to tell yourself no, and get those wide receivers. You didn't. You took Darren Waller. That's fine. But then you said, no, I'm not going to take a wide receiver here. I'm going to wait until the 9th round. And you pin your hopes on Nico Collins. That's an important pick for you. It's kind of a guy that you said, I got to get a guy here. And there were some safer options on the board, but you went Nico.
Yeah. Again, who's going to be the number 1 wide receiver for that team? So I felt like, the number 1 wide receiver on that team is more likely than not going to be Nico Collins. Same reason why, not that Lazard will be number 1. Obviously, he's not for the Jets. But with his rapport with Aaron Rodgers, I could see him catching 70 passes this year. And for a number 5 receiver, if he catches between 60 and 70 passes, I think that's pretty good. And if Nico can put up 70 catches, I think between those 2 guys, for my 4th and 5th wide receivers, I take that every day.
Yeah. Speaking of, you were talking about Darren Waller and the receivers. I mean, this is like almost uncharted territory. We are in round 14 with a team that has not had like a receiver. Paris Campbell, Wan'Dale Robinson, Jalen Hyatt, Darius Slay. I don't think they've had a single receiver drafted off that team, and we're in round 14. It's pretty crazy at how like either inept the receiving corps is going to be, or how wrong we are about or about how wrong we are about one or two.
You're
of
on
these
the
guys,
clock.
you know.
Yeah, we could be totally wrong. This is what's great about fantasy football. I love it. This is why I draft as many teams as I do. It's so much fun to see how everybody thinks. And this year, the group think is, other than everybody drafting wide receivers much heavier than normal, the group think is different now. There's no more let's follow ADP, religiously. Guys are not doing that. And so it's going to be a really interesting year this year.
Yeah. Look, he was trending the right way. We had taken Nico as one of our sort of sleeper players to keep an eye on last year. I think he was our sleeper. And, Davis Mills, of course, it didn't really pan out. But he was trending up. If you look back at that last year, there were like 4 games in the middle of the season where he was like a 10-target guy. And then he had the foot injury. I mean, injuries derail a lot of players in the NFL, and that's what it did for him. And he sat out a pair, and then he had a groin injury. I mean, injuries can knock you out of this game. It's a tough game, but he was trending up. There was a good set of games on him, and I think in that span, he's not a receiver that drops the ball. He's got really good hands. So I think we're getting a good value for Nico. It's like, okay, didn't do it in the rookie season, but you're getting wide receiver 52 in the 9th round. Yeah, take a shot on Nico. It's a team that should be playing from behind. I like that narrative. All of that stuff goes with it. Good squad, Ash. Man, it's good squad. You got to swing for the fences in some of this stuff and hope one of these receivers pans out. It could be Shaheed. He could be the number 2 receiver on New Orleans without much issue with the way Mike Thomas has looked the last couple of years. So
that's the other thing. We took Shaheed saying, if Thomas doesn't play a full season, who's now the number 2 next to Olave? So again, risk reward. You got to kind of balance that out and say, this team is all about risk. 100%. This is a risk reward team.
Well, it's good to have you back on Red versus Blue. You're a staple of the show. Wouldn't have it any other way. And welcome to Mike to the FFWC, man. Appreciate you bringing him in.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Ash.
Good luck in Vegas if I don't see you guys there.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Good seeing you, man.
Yep. All right, we're going to keep flying through here. Let's go to Team Meyer. William Meyer, he was at the 9 hole, took Travis Kelce, and then followed it up with 3 stud running backs, Chubb, Gibbs, Mixon. I mean, through 4 rounds, you are just beasting with your lineup. The question now becomes, can I pull it together and start 3 wide receivers a week? Because the requirements at the FFWC require it so. So here we go. Chris Godwin, Jahan Dotson, Brandon Cooks. I mean, he did it. I mean, really, you kind of put it together with 5th, 6th, and 7th round. It could have been worse, and I think he pulled it off here. I don't know what's going on with this 3 quarterback thing going on here. I have no idea what's happening, but there's a team that doesn't have a quarterback yet, so he's jabbing the knife. He's stabbing the knife here with a Meselex without a QB. So, do you play defense at all, Jack? Have you ever done that in a draft and tried to play some defense?
My desire to beat one other person never overwhelms my desire to win the whole thing. So I like somebody else to do my dirty work for me and to make that stab, and I'll sit back and benefit.
Well, plus it helps you too if you're a little weaker at quarterback, because this guy, he's not going to hold on to 3 quarterbacks, these 3 all year. So it's a good opportunity. Plus, I got to be honest with you, when I'm drafting and live streaming at the same time, I'm not even looking at other people's teams. Like I am after I'm picking, but I'm so busy trying to figure, especially because I can't build a freaking queue. So I'm trying to lock in here, but some people do. I know a lot of people. Jay Reed is another guy. I played with him in Kentucky and around Chasing the Helmet was his podcast. And he's big into blocking people. So people do it for sure.
Now, are you a Cowboys fan, Adam?
I'm a Bills fan.
Bills. That's right.
Yes, sir.
So what's the story here with Brandon Cooks? I mean, there has to be a real serious role for Brandon Cooks in this offense, considering that you can't put all the work on CeeDee Lamb, and you also don't have Dalton Schultz in the middle of the field anymore. So, and Gallup is really the wild card here. Is Gallup going to realize his full potential with this opportunity, or Brandon Cooks has always historically been a wide receiver 1 on his fantasy team, and he's not going to have to do that now, right? That's what's kind of appealing to me, because he, at all of his stops along the way, Saints and Dolphins or Texans, he's always had to be that number 1 wide receiver, or has been. And it's like now you're talking about you're a wide receiver 2. You're not having to face up against their best corner. You're facing up against sometimes a young kid, sometimes somebody that's not a quality of a start on the other side of the field, because you got to have all your attention on CeeDee Lamb. Cooks, he's got a good opportunity here, Jack.
I love Cooks. I think I think he's a great candidate for by the time we hit September, a steady rise in ADP, because that just seems like it happens every single year with him. He's somebody that's slept on for a while, and then all of a sudden people start to remember all those 1,000-yard seasons. He's in a much better offense. I think his performance last year can be excused by the fact that he had to play for an organization he hated. And it seemed like there was some backstabbing going on there as well within the Texans. So I think it's a great pick.
And would you call last year, Adam, a disaster for Cooks, right? I mean, he finished as wide receiver 49 last year, and you're getting him at wide receiver 44 here. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, no, and as long as he's still got some juice left. I mean, he's been around forever. A lot of those guys, it's I think it was the Mike Evans draft. There's a lot of receivers kind of getting to their 30 age 30 season. I think that was the Sammy Watkins draft too. He's been what a disaster that was. But I think he's good. Like you said, he's gonna have to face number 2 corners, and all those Dalton Schultz targets, because they have a rookie tight end there now. Like, he's not gonna get all those targets. Now, they're not going to be the same type of targets, obviously, but I think that's why I like Dak this year. I think they have a chance to be an explosive offense. Pollard's a better pass catching back than Zeke as far as explosiveness is concerned. So that whole offense could really feast. My overall fear for Cooks would be that he might be the guy that's kind of clearing it out for CeeDee Lamb to work the middle and tear it up. And they've been talking about wanting to run the ball more. I don't know how much more they can run it. Their situation neutral pace was pretty run heavy last year, so I don't know how much more they can run it. But yeah, Cooks, like you said, Cooks at wide receiver 44 is really great.
And he stayed relatively healthy. He had some concussion issues back in dating back to 2015 and 2019, and some soft tissue injuries like calf injuries, right? I mean, those aren't, you talk about a Sammy Watkins, his career was derailed by injuries and grade 1 tears and just, hip tears and just all kinds of stuff. Cooks hasn't had that. So it's like, he's still running full throttle. Injuries tell the tale of a 30-year-old wide receiver, which he will be in September. So it's like, yeah, it doesn't really scare me too much for Cooks. So
yeah, my only concern with the build is, like, I like the value. Chubb, great. You got value on Kelsey. Chubb goes at 82.
It's hard to turn down any of those running backs in those positions. That's
right. The only concern is, again, Godwin, Dotson, Cooks. Like, there's no shot at very, very slim shot that they're even wide receiver 1s, like top 12 guys. Whereas, but again, they don't need to be. Like, if Chubb, Gibbs, and Nixon all hit, then you don't need them to be that. But I do like maybe take that. That was why. So I was between Swift and Cooks with those 2 picks for my flex there, and I just thought Swift. There's a path to Swift being an RB1, maybe even a high end RB1 with injury luck or whatever. But whereas Cooks, I don't see the path for wide receiver 1 numbers. But that's the difference between RB24 and wide receiver 44 when you're drafting.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Good. Look, again, some of these builds like this, you don't know. The hindsight is 2020. You didn't really. Nick Chubb sounded like a safe pick there. Jahmyr Gibbs, it's hard to turn him down. Joe Mixon at 4-4, I get it. And especially when you're looking at the wide receivers, nobody's really blowing you away. So you're like, gosh, I can't turn it down. But you almost have to. you almost have to turn down that Joe Mixon pick.
Yeah, the Mixon one would have been the one that I would
just grit your teeth and say, take a receiver that you enjoy there. It's Kirk or Lockett. If it's not McLaurin, it's probably McLaurin, a wide receiver one there in an offense that's probably going to be playing from behind a lot. So, yeah, I think that in hindsight, that would have been the play, turning it down. But I get it. It's tough when you're on the clock. Let's move on to Sandpipers.
You're on the clock.
Sandpiper Thad Houston, late arrival at Red versus Blue tonight. Welcome, Thad. Glad you joined in. Bijan Robinson, welcome to Red versus Blue. 110 pick overall. We talked about this team being a team that's going to run the ball 500 times this year. Saquon Barkley, DeAndre Hopkins. And then is he familiar enough with the FFWC format that start three? Because he takes Pat Mahomes and T.J. Hawkinson, amazing players. What does it do to the build? Kadarius Toney and Cortland Sutton. He could pull it off if they are their best versions of themselves, right? If they're the best versions of themselves, Hopkins, Toney, Sutton, but you need a trifecta there because your next wide receiver isn't until the 11th round. So maybe a little help on the waiver wire here. It's not a best ball, so you can't really just throw in Valdez-Scantling and cross your fingers. Curtis Samuel is a guy that I could see maybe getting the volume that you need, at some point, getting some receptions. But, when you jump into an FFWC league, the start three wide receiver is unlike like FFPC, where it's only two. It's a big difference in build.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, listen. You got your running back 3 and your running back 4 there. So that's like, again, that's if you're going to start running back, that's kind of the way you want to do it. I probably would have committed to it, though. I mean, again, if you're going to go running back, and you have to start 3 receivers, it's hard to take a quarterback and a tight end in the first 5 rounds when you're not going to kind of correlate. Like, it's not even like it's a stack either with those guys. So, I don't know. It's going to be tough. I mean, you get the Toney Mahomes stack, I guess, in there, but I don't know. I would have liked to have seen him pass on Mahomes or Hawkinson, probably Hawkinson.
By the way, how many fantasy points is that in his first 5 picks? Let's say Bijan Robinson, 18 points. Saquon Barkley, 20 points, 38. Hopkins, 16. Pat Mahomes, 25. Hawkinson, 16 to 18. I mean, that's a lot of fantasy points, regardless of what happens with the rest of your team.
Yeah, I mean, Hawkinson 16 to 18. Is that? I mean,
this year?
I don't know. Is that? I feel like that's gonna be tough because you're gonna have to. What's that? 4 for 50 and maybe a little bit more. 5 for 50 and a touchdown. Every week. I just. But then the problem is, if you go through, and that's the thing, if you go through and compare your first 5 rounds to everybody else's, they're going to be very similar. But then when you get to your flex and you're starting Cortland Sutton and someone else is starting, not Cortland Sutton,
wide receiver 3,
Marquise Brown, Smith and Jigba. I mean, those guys are going to, I'm starting.
I'm just saying I have seen teams win their league, dominate their league, without a solid draft top to bottom, but you've got the studs. You've got the studs, and that's what you need. You need the horses.
Sure.
You got the horses.
Sure. No, I agree there. He's definitely got the he needs Hopkins to be awesome, I think, for that to work.
Yeah, I don't mind everybody else is going receiver. Fine, build up elsewhere. I think in that case, though, that's the build to take the boring wide receivers like Juju and people like that are going to get volume that you can count on. They're not ceiling plays that could flame out because you have to have them come through for you. So that would be my preference if I'm building it. But that's just me.
You got 19 quarterbacks off the board, and Meselec still has not taken one yet. Has to be coming up here pretty soon, right? I mean, I don't know if it's Brock Purdy, Trey Lance combo coming up here or something like that, where you're like, okay, I've got that taken care of. Whether maybe it's Jimmy Garoppolo or something, or I mean, most of the good ones are gone.
But if you've waited this long, you might as well wait a little bit longer.
Go all the way.
The difference isn't that much, so why not just take a few more dart throws?
Anybody have a strong commentary on Alvin Kamara? I mean, 8th round, RB 28. It feels like the worst is behind him now, even though there may be potential league ramification. It's kind of water under the bridge now. So now we've got that past us.
You're on the clock.
There may be some missed time, but then you come back, RB 28. Maybe it was a 4-game suspension. They knock it down to 2. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I don't know. My gut feeling is they're just not going to be a great team. And also, they drafted Kendra Miller. And I feel like ever since Drew Brees retired, he just looks like he hates playing football. I mean, that's just a gut feeling. Like, he just looks like he's not happy. He wasn't good last year. Like, I guess in a certain build, maybe like a 0 RB build, if you're hoping for that upside, but I just don't think it's going to work out there with all the mouths they have to feed. Now, Jamal Williams is going to be the goal line back. So sorry, I have to pick.
Yeah.
Well, and the peripheral metrics for Kamara have been declining over the past few seasons as well. So, I mean, you can set aside suspension. I think there are still legitimate concerns as to losing a step. And that's his game. You know, he's not having that speed and ability and stop-start is his entire game. So I certainly get worried, and Derek Carr isn't exactly inspiring. So I think there are plenty of reasons.
Russell Wilson was still there in the 17th round, RB or QB 20?
Not anymore.
What?
Not anymore. Dude, RB Jody Smith, Mr. Full-Time Fantasy, has him as his QB 11.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily need to take a second quarterback with Burrow as my number 1, but that's the blocking game you're talking about, right? Like, I'll take Russell Wilson, and I'm not going to let Messelix just have him either, so.
I can't believe he fell that far. I mean, I guess, you're looking at the
He should be going ahead of Carr. He should be going ahead of Murray.
Jordan Love. There you go.
Not going to play. There you go. Fine. Jordan Love.
He's got Christian Watson also in the
perfect
4th.
Worked out beautifully. I mean, his receivers are sick. I mean, we didn't get there yet, did we? Are we at Messelix?
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah, we are. We are at Messelix now. Let's go. Let's do it.
I mean, his receivers are sick, and he got the values there on the guy. I don't think he reached for anybody. Like, he's got a real nice group of receivers, and then ops for an elite tight end. You got to include an elite tight end or elite quarterback in those builds, and then just stays true to form. I don't know what the detour for Romeo. Oh, he's got Romeo Doubs too. So
this was the plan. He's got Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs.
Yeah,
so he was clearly going Jordan Love for quite some time.
But I don't understand. I still don't. The detour for Romeo Doubs is interesting. But I guess if the plan was for that receiving core and that whole offense, then that makes sense. But I would have kept pounding running back there because Doubs, I mean, what's Dobbs' ceiling case, and then how does that even fit into like these 5 receivers?
It protects his. It's a cuff for Watson though too.
Sure.
Because he's starting 5 wide in his 5 wide through his first 5 rounds.
Yes,
he's starting Pearson Pacheco. He's starting Pitts. I mean, look. That's a wide receiver. That's a great build.
I like the build. Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to admit something here.
Uh-oh.
This is the first time in a draft this season that somebody has been drafted that I have no clue who they are. Has anyone out? Yeah.
You're on the clock.
Yeah. Okay. I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing some late breaking Roto World story.
Giants.
Yeah.
Well,
there you go. Listen, we don't know who these receivers are.
I'm interested now.
A rare player who could be a UDFA steal.
Yes.
There you go.
Mountaineers wide receiver. Next, 1 month ago, Sports Illustrated is receiver Bryce Ford Wheaton the next Victor Cruz for the Giants.
Did you just make that up, or was that a headline?
No, I just Googled it.
Oh, really?
The Google machine.
The Google machine.
Physical traits: 6'4", 221, ran a 4.38 40, showcasing a 41-inch vertical.
Where'd this guy could come from?
Undrafted free agent.
Sean Tucker. Listen, Sean Tucker's my guy. So this guy's a dynasty player. Hold on. Let's go back and look. Tajee Spears, rookie. Tucker, rookie. Laporta, rookie. Who else do we got?
Terry and Sean, well done.
Very well. Very, very, very good. Wow.
In a surprising turn of events, Bryce Ford Wheaton's name was not called during the 2023 NFL draft.
There you go.
I know people are sleeping on me. I mean, he wasn't mocked in anything that I had seen, but I don't mock that deep, right? I mean, I don't go looking past the 3 rounds, 4 rounds for a wide receiver. Usually 5th, 6th, you're in uncharted territory for.
And listen, if you're gonna be an athletic freak like that guy is, like that's a team to get drafted to, because they're hurting for receivers. There's guys can pop out there.
Nice. Well, congratulations for that, and that's one to go ahead and throw on the dynasty rankings too. Great build by Mesalex. He knows what he's doing. He's won this thing before. He has an FFWC belt to show for it. Finally, Feral Monkeys, Terry Tardugno, and Sean Medlin. They've been the lucky guys here in all the drawings and the wheel spins. Won an Aaron Donald helmet. Won a card, What's in the Box, last week. We didn't do that this week.
Oh, come on. Let's get the box.
We could do the box.
It's a funnel cake.
Listen, Jack and I are in the draft. Let's do the box. Come on.
We can only do it with what I had on the with what I had.
It's
right
a
here.
railroad spike.
It's fair prizes.
That's right.
Yeah, fair prices. Here we go.
That's right.
I don't know who's gonna. I don't know who did this, but it was sitting on my desk. There you go.
Yes,
What's on the desk?
Well, you know what? This is not showing up because it must be gold, dude. It's like it's
that's right. Imagine, and we believe you.
Okay, we're gonna open it up, and here we go. Drum roll. Ring. Let's see if we can get it to show up. We can't get it to show up. It is.
Is that Pitts?
Kyle Pitts.
Oh, we had one of those last week too.
Mesalex.
Kyle Pitts, rookie card, just came in the mail. He's finally signing. So he hasn't signed. This was a rookie cards. Everybody has been waiting on these things. It finally came in the mail.
Wow.
Congratulations, Kyle Pitts, rookie, numbered to 99. That is National Treasures. That's one of the best elite card if you're a collector for Kyle Pitts. So that's a good, it's a good card. Yeah, we gave away Justin Fields last week.
Yeah.
Back to Feral Monkeys, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson. You got to love starting like that. Breece Hall, you've got 2 Jets players. Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, little Philly old love there in Carolina. Treylon Burks, James Conner, Adam. He's just taking turns like a zebra. Adam Thielen, Samaje Perine, Rondale Moore, Dalton Schultz. I got to get my head around this, fellas. Okay. The Breece Hall pick. I get it. It's, you want a running back and he falls to you. I'll take it. Jalen Hurts. Okay, fine. He fell to the 4th round. And, typically 4 or 5 is kind of where you're thinking. But then the Miles Sanders pick, if you don't like the wide receivers there, okay, fine. I'm okay. Treylon Burks at 6'1". I think, look, this is just semantics. This is just, player eval here. Like, I might have taken Njigba just because I'm kind of higher on his upside, but with the DeAndre Hopkins signing. But who cares? You're getting your wide receiver 3 that you like. That's who you like. James Conner as your RB3. Okay. Yeah. Adam Thielen, a guy that you're probably going to plug in, is probably going to lead the team in targets. Perine, Rondale Moore. I don't know what to say about it. It really has me kind of perplexed. It's just kind of okay.
Yeah. It's just there's no, like, it looks like the build is just best player available.
Best player available.
Which is fine, which is great. Especially because it's not best ball. So like there's waivers, so you could make up for certain things. But yeah, Hall, when I picked Henry, it was between Henry, Gibbs, and Hall. It was really between Henry and Hall, because Gibbs sometimes you can get in the 4th round, but
you're on the clock,
or at least later 3rd. Hall's a great pick, and they just came out today and said the coach said he looks fantastic. That, Scott, you're locked into the Jets. Like they say he looks fantastic. This is like the opposite of, people need to stop with the Dobbins stuff from last year. Dobbins said he was playing last year. Nobody else said he was playing. The doctors, the coaches were like, take it easy. He's, we're going to wait and see. All the news from Jets camp, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that he's playing and he looks good.
Well, and it's also people reacting to news that isn't news. Like the fact that he's put on the PUP list is, I assume, part of the plan. Like no one, that's reflective of where he was all along, and yet people react to the news as if, it somehow changes his situation.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, look, when I'm looking at this 12 hole, I mean, when you're on the turn like this, you're taking 2 back-to-back. You know you have a long way to go. So I understand why he's hesitant to do anything like heavy-handed and going wide receiver, because then you're thinking, man, what's my RB3 going to look like? Or, you know, I understand, you know, why you do things like that, because it is a long way away and you feel like you're going to get, you know, sniped. But this has all the pieces that you need. He knows better than if he's going to take Jalen Hurts. He knows to not really put himself behind the 8 ball, and he didn't take his tight end until the 11th round. He also backed it up with Laporta, which I love that combo. I love the veteran with the rookie. I mean, there's one synergy that you can kind of see, a veteran with a rookie. The rest of the build, I mean, maybe Thielen, Terrace Marshall, everything else, like you said, is BPA, best player available. Take it as it comes and see how it goes.
Yeah, BPA and Ford Wheaton. You know,
all right, it's time, guys. That is it. We ran through all 12 teams. Everybody has a nice looking strategy going on here. I like the Zamir White pick in the 13th round. I think that's an ADP we're going to continue to see go up. You know, especially if I've got Jacobs, and I want to lock that in. It's kind of a smart cuff right now because he is looking sort of like he's the guy behind Jacobs. And then if there's another pick here that I like, it's my Pierre Strong. I like Pierre Strong and Ty Chandler. Both of you guys took one. Jack, you took Chandler. Adam, you took Pierre Strong. A couple of picks I like there. Jack, what do you like, man? What do you see down here?
We talking end of the draft picks?
Anywhere, yeah. Anything late.
Well, I learned about Ford Wheaton, so that's interesting.
There you go.
I love Gesicki. I mean, 19th round, and they have no choice but to run 2 tight ends. And, you know, when was the last time Bill O'Brien was with the Patriots? Gronk and Hernandez. Like, I could easily see that. So, you know, a great example of waiting on tight end.
And yeah. Adam?
Yeah. Probably should have been looking at
Kendre Miller, maybe.
Another guy. Kendre Miller fell a ton. I like that. I like the Van Jefferson pick. I think if they, you know, are playing for him from behind there, I still trust McVay. He's the number 2 guy. Maybe Higbee. I've got Higbee on my team, but he's the number 2 receiver there. I like his again, he's not going to be anything crazy special, but he could be a wide receiver 3 if it all pans out.
Yeah. Khalil Herbert was RB32. That's a little early in this draft. I kind of that was interesting to see. RB32 at 812. KJ Osborne, we talked about him earlier. I talked about him on the mock draft anyway. He has earned a role in the offense. We talked to a Minnesota Vikings beat writer, and he said, look, there's a little bit of sloppiness with Addison, and we think he'll work his way through it eventually. Obviously, we talk about the speeding ticket now that Bill Enright from Sports Illustrated reported on. Osborne's earned a role, and it's not going anywhere. And he is a playmaker, and he has a good college pedigree, talent, opportunity, pedigree. It's all there for Osborne to be a contributor at this level. So 12th round, you could do a lot worse. And let's see. Best team that I'm looking at here. I like Meselek's team. We talked about it. It's got all the pieces. But you know, I don't know if I'm really feeling Love, Ritter, Howell as my captain. I know you're trying, you know, maybe you can play the matchups but I think that's a little unpredictable. I'm not looking for 10, 12 point games out of my quarterback when Josh Allen's putting up 30, Lamar's putting up 30, Mahomes is putting up 30. Burrow's putting up 30. You know, these guys makes it a little tough to get behind. Hub City has an interesting team. I love the 3 wide receivers, but again, the Lamar Kittle thing is a little problematic for me because then you don't have that 4 and 5. Beckham Boyd, not really there for me. Anybody else? Anybody?
Yeah, I like I like Meselex's build. I would have gone, like you said, a quarterback a little bit sooner. I really like Jack's build too. He was able to, you know, that's how you do hero RB with the elite quarterback and the elite tight end. And I also like Oscar's build too. I mean, Kenneth Walker in the late 6th round, RB21. I mean, that could work out really well. Again, gets the elite or, you know, elite-ish tight end with Goddard. Richardson could be an absolute smash spot there. He backs him up with the veteran. So if Richardson doesn't pan out, he still has Cousins to kind of get him through. But Richardson has that, Justin Fields upside, top 3 quarterback upside week to week whenever he plays.
I like Bitcoin's team. I mean, he's got everything. He went a little heavy with the Cam Akers pick. I would have taken Njigba there. I would have loved that team through 6 with Njigba there. Yeah. Ripper gets him. But Cam Akers can pull it off, and that's a good squad. Watson and Njoku.
I dig Meselex. I like the uncomfortable teams, the weird teams, and you know what? I don't foresee him so much rotating around in these 3 quarterbacks. He's got the bet on Love with Watson and Dobbs, but if that doesn't work out, he's got Ritter with the bet on Drake London. So he's really just looking at the start of the season, seeing who takes off. And if, one of these quarterbacks, he's already invested with the wide receivers. So it makes a lot of sense if you're going to do it that way to push your advantage. But I also like Pink Daily. They focus on what's important. They've got clearly from a build perspective that the focus on wide receiver and running back. They're taking, single startable quarterback with upside as well as, 2 later tight ends, but really focusing on the positions that matter. So both of them.
We were in the FSGA props and futures draft today on SiriusXM, and we took a sizable bet on the Packers to win the NFC North at plus 400. Felt pretty good about it too. Plus 400, it's worth taking a shot. That division is not decided, and we will see what Jordan Love has in the tank. That's the story of the night for that build. Guys, thanks for getting things started and pulling off another great show. That concludes the Red versus Blue draft series for 2023. Now things start to go dark a little bit. Everybody's had July to kind of look and see and peer into the eyes of what the high stakes players are thinking. Things start to cloudy up a little bit, get a little darker. There'll still be some live streams here and there, but the Red versus Blue draft series is always kind of that sort of that last full peek at what the high stakes players are thinking. And now it's when, you've got all of your studying, you've got all your homework, you got all your rankings and your tools, and it's time to go to work. This is the big month of the year for the fantasy football season. We're excited you're a part of it. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Roy, for always being the heart at the FFWC draft room. Bravo, guys. Great job. We'll see you guys soon on the airways. Grind time is still a thing. Grind time, we're going to see some drafts coming up.
Yeah, drafts definitely be coming up. When is the when did the main event start live?
August 17th out. The online main events have already started. The slow drafts already started.
The actual live, like when ones we can stream.
August. Well, I don't know about streaming. I don't know. Maybe August 13th. Maybe.
Okay. Maybe I'll pop into one of those and we'll just.
You could probably twist our arm. I don't know. Have we ever streamed a main event?
Listen, I'll sign up for one, and if everyone's okay with it, I'll do that.
You got to get all 12 to agree to it. I don't know how you're going to do that.
What do you mean? No,
I don't know.
I'm a paying customer.
They don't like to put their main event teams out there for all to see. They just don't.
Listen, that's like poker. I'm paying for the information. I'll pay to draft the team, and then I can. No, we'll figure it out.
You can get the ADP. You can get the ADP, but you just can't get the names associated with it.
Well, who knows? We don't know who. These names are so crazy, anyways. Saint Meselex and Pharaoh monkeys. That's funny. Thanks,
guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys.
Always a pleasure.
See you.